Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I am going to be showing you how to create a confetti effect exactly like this one. So let's get right into it. Alright, now the first thing we're going to want to do is insert a screen GUI into the starter GUI. You can name it whatever you would like. I'm just not going to name it for now because I don't feel like it's necessary. Alright, so within that screen GUI you want to make a module script. And you can call it whatever you'd like. I'm going to call it confetti effect. We're going to write all of our code within this module script so that we can access it from any other local script that's running on the client. Alright, we're just going to leave this part alone for now and create a few blank lines so that we can declare our variables up here. And the first variable we're going to need is the tween service because we want to be able to tween the confetti particles that we're going to make. So I'm going to make a variable, local tween service is game : get service tween service. There we go. And the next thing we're going to need is a folder in which we're going to store the confetti frames, which we're going to generate, I guess. So let's make a variable for that. Local confetti folder is instance.new. I'm going to make it the type folder, of course, and then we're going to set the parent of that folder to script.parent, which would be the screen GUI. Alright, so what this line is going to do, it is going to create a folder, then it's going to parent it to the screen GUI we created, and then it's going to assign that new instance, or in this case the folder, to this variable so that we can use it later. Alright, now that we have declared these variables, we can go ahead and actually create the effect itself. So we're going to start off by renaming this module or this table to confetti effect, and of course we're going to have to return a confetti effect as well if we want to use it in a different script, or require it from a different script rather. Now the next thing we're going to do is just create a few settings for the effect itself. So the first one is going to be the colors you want the particles to have, because if we were to just generate a random color for every single particle, we're going to end up with a few dull colors which we might not want. So let's go ahead and create another table within this module. So confetti effect dot available colors, and we're going to set that to a new table. And now within this table, we're going to want to put the colors that we want to use. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and create a new color 3.from RGB, and here we can go ahead and select a color which we might want. I'll go for yellow, why not? Make sure to put a comma at the end, and then we'll just copy and paste this onto a new line, select a new color. There we go, green, why not? Copy it again, paste, and so on. Red, there we go. I'll just keep it at this. You can add more colors if you'd like, but I'm not going to. Alright, so these are the colors that the particles or the frames of the confetti will be able to be. Now the next option we want to make is the total amount of particles. So let's go ahead and create that. Confetti effect dot total particles is 150. I feel like this is a pretty good amount for now. If you want more, you can always change it later. There we go. Let's make another one. We're going to call it time between. This is the time between the creation of a new particle. Oh, ah man, I just love AI. Alright, there we go. I'm going to set that to 0.025 or 25 milliseconds, I think. Alright, now we're actually going to get to the creation of the confetti. Alright, so let's create a function within the confetti effect table by doing function confetti effect : play. Alright, now because we want to summon multiple particles, we're just going to use a simple for loop for that. And we're going to use the total particles property within that for loop to determine the amount of times it runs. So we'll go ahead and type for I is 0, self dot total particles. There we go. What this self object refers to is just simply this table. Because we're running the function with a colon, it means that the self parameter automatically gets sent through this function whenever we run it. Alright, now we're going to use the time between property, because we obviously want to wait between the summoning of a new particle. So we're going to type task.wait self.time between. Again, this self simply refers to this table, which has the time between property in it. Alright, now let's go ahead and create a new frame by typing local new confetti is instance.new frame. There we go. So what this will do is it will create a new frame instance and assign that to this variable. So now what we can do is use this variable to change its properties. So first of all, we're going to set its size, new confetti.size, and we're going to set that to udem2.new. Oh, sorry, not new, from scale. You always want to make sure to use scale when you're dealing with UIs in Roblox, because that way it always looks the same on every user's device. Alright, now I have already looked at what would look good in terms of the size, so I'm just going to type that out here, 0.005 and 0.024. Now this is the size that I had the confetti as in the intro as well. So if you liked the way it looked in the intro, you will be fine with this size. Alright, the next thing we're going to want to do is set the position. So we're going to type new confetti.position, and we're going to create a new item2 again from scale, and we're going to set that to math.random. And then between these parentheses here, we're going to type a comma, space, and then minus 0.1. What this math.random will do is it will generate a number between 0 and 1, which means that it will select a position between the left point of the screen and the right point. And we're setting the y value to negative 0.1 because we don't want the confetti to appear on the user's screen as it's being generated, because that would look really weird. Alright, next up we're going to set the color of the confetti. So new confetti.background color 3 is self.available colors, and then we're going to put square brackets at the end. Create another math.random method in here, and then declare the first argument as 1 and the second as the amount of indices the available colors table has. So self.available colors. Let me break this part down for you because this is very confusing. So again, self simply refers to the confetti effect table that we have declared up here. If I were to change this out for confetti effect, it would make no difference. So what we're doing here is we're generating a random number between 1 and 3. Because this hashtag gets the amount of indices within this available colors table. So this would be converted to 3. So we're getting a random number between 1 and 3, and we're indexing the table with 1, 2, or 3. If I were to index this table with just 2, it would get this color. If I were to index it with 3, it would get this color, and 1 would be this color. So we're just generating a random number so that it gets a random color from this table. Alright, the final step is optional. I prefer to set this, but you don't really have to if you don't want to. So we're going to set the size of the border of the frame to 0. So we're going to type new confetti.border size pixel, and we're going to set that to 0. Now you might actually prefer the way it is when it's enabled, so go ahead and set this to 1 if you do actually want the border to be there. I'm going to keep it at the 0 though. Alright, the final step is to set the parent, so we're going to type new confetti.parent, and we're going to set it to the confetti folder we created earlier. Alright, so the final step is to actually make the confetti move to the bottom of the screen while it is spinning. So we're going to create a new tween, and we're going to assign that to a variable. So we're going to make a new variable, we're going to call it tween, and we're going to set it to tween service : create. And up here in the little pop-up, you can already see the arguments it takes in. So the first one is the instance, which is the instance we want to manipulate, which is in this case the new confetti instance. So I'm just going to put that in there. Then I'm going to put a comma, and this time it wants the tween info, which is the way it's going to move, like how fast it would move, what kind of bouncy effect it would have when moving, and that kind of stuff. So let's create a new tween info object, tweeninfo.new, and then within these parentheses it will give us some new options of the in the little pop-up window. The first one being the amount of time the tween will take. I'm going to go ahead and set that to 1. The second one being the easing style, which is an enum. So we're going to type enum.easingstyle.linear. This will make sure that the confetti frame will always move at the same speed. And we don't really have to change any of the other arguments because those don't matter when you're dealing with a linear movement. Alright, now the final argument this create method here takes in is the property table, which is a table containing all of the properties you want to manipulate or change. So in our case, we want to change the position to the bottom of the screen. So we're going to set the position to new confetti.position plus udem2.from scale 0, 1.1. So what this does, it sets the end position to the position at which the confetti spawned plus 1.1 on the y-axis. So what that will do is, imagine the particle effect spawns up here. It will set the end position to down here. Now the next thing we're going to do is set the rotation, because we want the particle to rotate as it moves down. So let's go ahead and do that. Rotation is math.random -180, 180. So what this will do is it will get a random number between -180 and 180, which will then be the end rotation. Now the final step will be to play the tween so that it actually moves. So we're going to say tween::play, and now it will actually move. And the last but very important step is to actually delete the particle effect once it is finished moving down. So we can do that with the completed event, which the tween has. So we're going to type tween.completed: connect function. Alright, now anything we put within this function will be executed whenever this tween finishes playing. So after 1 second, because we set the duration of the tween to 1 second. Now all we want to do within this function is simply destroy the confetti frame we created, because we just don't need it anymore. So we're going to call destroy on the new confetti object, or instance, sorry. Alright, now we're done. Now the last thing that is left for us to do is to simply call this method from any other local script. In your case, you might want to call this method whenever someone wins a minigame or when they pick up a coin, anything like that. But in my case, I'm just going to go ahead and call this method whenever I click a button. So I'm going to go ahead and create a text button. I'm going to insert a local script into the text button, and then I'm going to require the confetti effect by typing local confetti effect and setting it to require script.parent.confetti effect. So what this will do, it will require the confetti effect module that we have created, and it will allow us to change any of these properties or call this method. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's connect a function to the mouse button one down event by typing script.parent.mouse button one down connect function. There we go. So what this will do, it will fire this event whenever we click on this text button. I'm actually going to move it down real quick. There we go. So this function will run whenever we click on this button. Alright, now we can call the play method from within this local script. Confetti effect play. If I hit play now and click the button, you can see that the confetti effect starts playing. We did it! Alright, so last thing I want to mention is that you can actually change the properties from within any other script as well. So as you can see, if I put the dot at the end here, it'll give me a few autocomplete options, and you can see that I can change any of these. I could set the total amount of particles to 1,000,000, and it would just keep on playing. If I click the button, it will never stop. Well, it will eventually, but it's going to take a long time. Alright, but that was the video. I hope you enjoyed. Please give me feedback because this is the first tutorial I have done in 3 years. See you in the next one.